Hey dudes, this is Julia Montgomery, Betty Childs in Revenge of the Nerds, and you're listening to Tommy Throwback Kovac on Splat from the Past. I'm not kissing a nerd.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things could get totally radical. Now today is a rarity. I will be interviewing Tracy Smith. You all know her. She's the gorgeous, talented actress who was in the 1984 cult classics Hot Dog the Movie, in which she was the co-lead, and Bachelor Party, in which she was Tawny Kitane's friend. And I'm having her on the show to talk about those today. She also guest starred on T.J. Hooker, several episodes of the 2-hour Perry Mason movie of the weeks in the 90s, and then she left the business. And I am going to solve the mystery as to why. And I can't wait. I'm just so excited. Like I said, it's a rarity. So, here is my interview with Tracy Smith.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Tracy. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm great. And you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good.
Good.
This is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for considering me.
Absolutely. So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
Yes. I was a little toddler gymnast and dancer since the age of 3, and so I enjoyed doing stage work and did some productions. I was in The Wizard of Oz a few times as Toto, and then the Queen of Mice. But you didn't know there was a Queen of Mice in The Wizard of Oz, did you?
No.
She puts them all, she gets them out of sleep. Yep. And then I danced modern jazz and stuff. So I like being on stage. I always wanted to move to LA, and I wanted to. I did modeling, some modeling when I was really, really little with my mom, and then I modeled when I was 12, 16, something like that. Yeah.
And exactly how? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
And exactly how did you play Toto?
Toto. Well, we wore leotards, and I basically was on all fours with pads. My mother made me special pads that went underneath the leotard so that I could not damage my knees, although my knees are pretty damaged from all the gymnastics throughout the years. Yeah. And as you get older, those kind of things have a tendency to just catch up with you. So I was crawling around on all fours, just like you would a dog, and then I would sit next to, with my little paws up by my shoulders, as in a begging type of a mode whenever I sat next to Dorothy.
Wow. Okay. So I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, I don't think you could risk putting an actual dog in a theater performance because anything could happen.
And back then, no, that wouldn't be too common because they actually liked having real people, as far as being able to portray the characters, like the lion and the Tin Man. Really fun costumes,
Yeah. Are you born and raised in Phoenix?
I was, yes. I was born and raised in Phoenix. Yep. And I have a family that still lives there, but my folks are gone.
Wow.
And it was a great place to be raised. I highly suggest it. It was a really nice. It's very funny because on airplanes or any time that I was traveling, people would say, "Oh my God, you're from Arizona? Do you live in a tent? Do you have teepees?" Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, "It's so flat there," and I'm like, "No, actually, there's a mountain. There's mountains there. There's South Mountains, Camelback Mountain.
Yeah,
it's not so flat, not so hot anymore with all the golf courses around."
Yeah, I lived in Glendale for 3 months 13 years ago, and I had to get the fuck out of there.
Well, you were probably living there during the heat, and there's nothing worse than almost anywhere in the summer. I mean, even Florida really is just horrendous, starting in late June and July, and then Arizona is the same way. So, every state has their really bad couple of months, but honestly, Arizona has some really amazing, beautiful weather in the fall. It's very cool. It's very California-like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got there in February, and I left for a month in May, came back for another month, and then by July 4th, I was gone, and it was 120 degrees when I left.
Oh, there you go. And you know what's crazy is that we used to play tennis when it was that hot. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I was a tennis player, and so we literally were out on the court when it was that hot. And I didn't even think about it, but I guess that's just being a kid. You just go play. You don't really think about those things. You think, you're sweating, and then you go swimming. I think you have to have a lot of pools in Arizona in order to survive.
Yeah.
We didn't have one, though.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it. Yeah. So after high school, did you go to college to study acting?
I finished high school early, and I actually wanted to graduate a full year ahead, but my counselor messed up, so I only took a couple of hours, which was kind of a waste. I should have taken night school or something, but I had nothing better to do because Nina Blanchard, who was a major modeling agent at the time in Los Angeles, she wouldn't accept anyone until they were 18, and I had gone to see her when she was promoting her book all about modeling and the industry or something. And she told me that she wanted me, but that I was too young and I had to finish high school, and I couldn't go there until I was 18. So that's what I did. I finished early, and I went to a semester at Arizona State University. I finished that 2 weeks early, and I left to LA. And a friend of mine picked me up at the airport, and we walked in because I knew, she says, you can come to the open calls, which didn't make me feel too special at the time until the elevator doors open up, and my friend and I are standing there, and she crosses the hall, and she backtracks, and there's this whole line on both sides of the hallway filled with girls. And I get out and I'm standing in the elevator. I look at my friend and I go, I don't think I want to do this. And then he goes, no, get out. And so I step one step out, and she comes back and she says, you. And I'm like looking right and left, and then all of a sudden I go, me? She goes, yeah, Tracy, right? And I go, yeah. She goes, come here. And so she takes me past all these girls. My friend's just laughing. And then she walks me into the booker room, and she says, okay, this is Tracy. She's our new model. And I'm like, what? So, and my first modeling booker was named Ken, and I'll never forget that. It was just one of those amazing moments. So,
wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun.
What year did you get out to LA?
I got out there when I just had turned. Well, I had to be 18 to go with her. So 18. So I'm 59. I was born in 61 in April. So
79.
I got out there. Yep.
79 is when you got out there?
Yep, 79. Wow. And she told me that, I did a bunch of modeling, and then there were some European agents that came in, and I was also up for doing things were happening very fast. I did a couple of roles. I did a TJ Hooker. Yeah. And I was up for the cover and for a layout for Sports Illustrated.
Oh.
And instead of doing that, she chokes. Instead of doing that, I decided to go to Europe because these European agents had come in town. It was from Milan. And so I went with fashion model. Then I went over to Italy, and I lived there for about 9 months, came home for a month, went back for 8 months, and then I moved to New York. But it was a difficult decision because I was really starting to kick off, and Nina said, if you stay here, you're going to do a lot of TV, you're going to do this. And I really wanted to travel. And, I mean, it's, retrospect, it totally would have changed my life big time, having done that. I think the one who ended up doing it was Elle McPherson.
Yeah.
But we all make choices in our lives that fit us for the moment, and I just have to have faith that all those reasons culminate into where I am right now, which is sitting in front of a fireplace or a fire pit, enjoying the breeze.
Yeah.
Outside. I'm enjoying nature, socially distancing.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there slowly. But, you mentioned you guest starred on TJ Hooker. How was that experience?
That was really, really fun because it's interesting how synchronicity steps in and how things happen. Because, Heather Locklear, Heather Locklear, right? Yeah, She was in that, and what was his name?
Adrian Zemed?
Yeah. Adrian, gosh, I'm getting blank here. Yeah, Adrian Zemed, and then obviously William Shatner.
Right.
And the guest star was the man who wrote Great Balls of Fire.
Jim McBride.
No. Oh, I know Jim McBride, but no, that's which is another, Small World thing. But no, I'm calling Great Balls of Fire from who performed it.
Oh, Jerry Lee Lewis. I'm sorry. Yes.
Jerry Lee Lewis?
Yes.
Okay. So Jerry was the guest. He was the guest star. So he basically took me and he put me up on the piano and played me on the piano and was singing Great Balls of Fire. Which, on a side note, which I think this will all come around. So many, many years later, I do a commercial. I was very fortunate to do a lot of commercials. There was a commercial called The Eye of the Storm, and that was this ball that had this electricity that if you touch it, it exudes out to it. I don't know. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was called The Eye of the Storm.
Yes.
The song for it. And I was the main person, the dancer in it. I danced and I to sit, and I was wearing a top hat and all that, and gloves. And the song that they played was that song, Great Balls of Fire. Great Balls of Fire. And I'm dancing to that song many, many years later. And then, strangely enough, I go home to Phoenix to see my folks. I'm shopping in the grocery store. This man turns around, we're both in the checkout line, and he says, I know you. And I go, no, I don't think you do. Thinking he maybe just recognized me from some of the commercials. He goes, no, I know who you are. And I go, okay. And he said, I actually worked in New York at a major advertising agency there, and I'm the one that hired you for the Eye of the Storm. Commercial that I did. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This is such a small world, right? Mm-hmm. So as you know, years later too, Adrian Zemed and I were both in Bachelor Party.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which maybe you didn't know. I don't know. But
I do.
We both were in Bachelor Party, and we had this huge relationship that was supposed to be in the script and what have you. Everything got rewritten towards the end, and that ended up not happening. But we were in the same film. And Heather Locklear, her manager, was supposed to be my manager, but it didn't work out. She didn't like me. So,
yeah.
And then Claudia Christian, who was also another friend, had the same manager. So as you probably know, it's like everybody knows everybody. The world is so small.
Yeah. Richard Hurd is in this episode. I got to interview him 2 weeks before he died. or actually, I should say, he interviewed me. He was very challenging to interview, but a very nice man. Yeah. Do you have any memory of him?
No, not specifically. No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. He was so prolific, that guy, and a great actor. Deborah Foreman from Valley Girl was in the episode too.
In my episode?
In your episode of T.J. Hooker, yes.
Oh my God, that is so funny, because I literally just was watching her because I had like 6 or 7 callbacks for Valley Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's quite a few years younger than me, and we would be going on quite a few of the same. Her and Elizabeth Shue and Sharon Stone and I and Demi Moore, all kind of around that time. Interesting. And then, so was she enjoyable to interview?
No, I haven't interviewed her. No podcaster has. She hasn't been very nice to any of us, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, maybe she'll change her mind. Maybe she's just very busy.
I doubt it. I've talked to a few people who worked with her on Valley Girl and said she can be quite challenging, unfortunately, But, wow.
Why did you get into podcasting?
Well, 5 years ago, I had a car accident in which I spent 30 days in a coma.
Oh, my God.
And after I awoke, I found out I couldn't drink anymore. And I went through about 4 years of alcoholism leading up to that night. And I just decided, life is too short. I need to pursue show business. I had been a stand-up comedian and do a little bit of theater here and there for years, but I never really was driven to pursue it after my grandmother had passed away after I graduated high school. I took care of her for 9 months until she died, and I was on the trajectory. I wanted to go to L.A. and join the Groundlings. I wanted to be a part of their improv group, and it just didn't happen. And I had no mentors that were in comedy or acting, and nobody believed in me. I didn't believe in myself. I couldn't find a way in. And then I discovered the podcast world as I was recovering. And then my mother and I, we had been homeless for a couple of years, but then a miracle happened. We got a new place to live, and up here in Redding, because we were in the Bay Area our whole lives. And I started this podcast, and I just want to keep the cult movie alive, the cult rock musician, comedian, everybody alive. And it's just been the greatest blessing of my life.
How did this miracle occur? What was this miracle that changed your life?
Well, okay, so when you get hit by a car, you don't need a 12-step program. That's a 13-step program, especially after you find out you can't drink anymore.
Yeah.
So I was just like, God gave me a second chance for a reason, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life hanging out at the bar and having all these open mic nights fail. I was hosting open mic comedy night. I hosted a couple trivia nights, and they just failed. And I was just like, I want to pursue it, And so I was on stage every night for about a year for the remainder of my time in the Bay Area. And then when I came up here, there's no open mics or anything. And that's just fine. I don't like the politics of stand-up. I don't even know if I'll go back to it unless I move to L.A. and I'm persuaded to. But I love doing this podcast, and I plan on getting a in-studio one-on-one, podcast in L.A., when I do get to move over there, But I'm loving it doing it like this.
Well, and so have you had your mother on? Was that how you started? Did you have your mom, or who was the very first person that you did a podcast with?
No. My mom has said that she wanted to be on, but I think she was just kidding. My very first guest, and she's been on 7 times overall, is Diane Franklin.
Diane Franklin. Refresh me on some of those projects that I would.
Yeah, you probably went to auditions with her too. She was in Better Off Dead, The Last American Virgin.
Okay.
God, so many great movies. Yeah. Terror Vision, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, a lot of great movies. She was my very
not a great movie. Yeah.
She was my very first guest, and she's been on 7 times, and
Wow.
I love her.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously. Well, she must be really nice too.
She is very nice. Yes. She's practically an angel. She's like, my mom calls her my fairy godmother.
That's great. And so when do you expect to move back to LA?
Well, I never lived in LA before. I lived in San Francisco my whole life.
Okay.
I've been trying. Okay, so last year I was supposed to move there, and the person I was going to stay with ended up getting in trouble with the law, and so it fell through. And many other things happened that same week that were just devastating to me. And so, I don't know, after this pandemic is over, I'm going to give it another go. I'll ask somebody I know out there, because I've made so many contacts from doing this podcast, you know. So, fingers crossed.
I will. I'll cross my legs, too. My toes don't cross very well.
Oh, really? You've been wearing heels your whole life?
No, but when modeling, I had to wear heels. I'm not a heels person. I'm a cowboy, tennis shoe, or barefoot.
Yeah.
I don't even wear cowboy boots anymore, really, because they're kind of changed my feet as I've gotten older, and after a couple kids, your weight starts pushing down the arches, so your foot flattens out a little bit more. So.
Yeah, I remember that scene in Hot Dog the movie when you're laying on the bed with your feet in the air and your soles are showing. They're very pretty, I have to say.
Aw, thank you.
Of course.
My arches, yeah.
Of course. So how did Hot Dog the movie come into your life?
I auditioned. I basically I auditioned for that, and it was weird because I was not in a good place at my life at the time in my life. So I was probably more relaxed, which is, for those of you out there who think that you're never going to have something happen. Sometimes when you're going through rough times, it gives you a different aura, and people pick up on it, and you have a certain amount of relaxation when you go audition for something or you go do something in your life. And that's what happened. I was going through a breakup from a fiance, and I had gone on the interview, and I think I was kind of in a cheery mode anyway, and I was supposed to do a scene, and then luckily the casting agent at the time just said, you know what, why don't you read this scene instead? And I think it was the crying scene where I walk out, I have a fight with Parkin, and then I put the hat on the hook, and I say, like, go ask Miss Plastic Tits or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was crying. But the sadness helped the scene, and that's how it came into my life. Just through an audition, through my agent.
Mm-hmm. And had you ever been in snow before?
No, I actually, let me think. We shot that in Snow Valley, let's see, Squaw Valley. I had never been there before. I never really had been around snow before, other than when I was probably a little tiny kid in Arizona. We drove like Flagstaff to try and do some little bit of snowing, snowshoeing or something. So that was a first for me. The air ride from LA to Squaw Valley was fun because I got a really good ticket, and I was sitting down next to this lovely gentleman who said I reminded him of his daughter, and he was quite generous in listening to me and making me feel more comfortable, and that was Bruce Dern.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he said, oh, you remind me of my daughter, that would have been Laura, who wasn't really doing much. She was kind of starting as well, I think, too.
Yeah.
And so I think fondly back at that, flying over there, and just the all-around experience of working in Squaw Valley. It was nice. The people were nice, even though I was going through a really difficult time. It was a good experience.
Yeah. We have snow up here in Redding. It's the only part of California that has snow, and we only get it like maybe 2 days a year, literally. And last year, for some reason, it must have skipped a year because we didn't have it the first year that I was up here. But last year, it took me by surprise, and I was just like a kid in a candy store because I'd never been in it before, and I was playing with it and just having a good time with it, you know. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I have an older brother, yeah.
And he also lives in San Francisco?
He actually lives with us now. He's going through an awful lot of divorce and what have you. But, yeah, he's divorced with 3 kids.
Lots of transitions right now. It's not an easy time for anyone. It's very trying.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. So it's kind of nice to reminisce about some things that were quite different than they are now.
Oh, yeah, not just the changing of the times, but movies were so much better back then. And just now, there's too much content and everything's shot fast. It's all on digital, you know?
Yeah. You know that Hot Dog was re-released in Blu-ray. They did some, a company has re-released it in Blu-ray and on DVD, and they have some interviews and at the end of the DVD.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So that's, it's kind of interesting after so many years that they would try and keep it alive. Just, I guess it amazes me, like any of these shows that we watched probably as children that were poor quality, and then that they're having to upgrade them
Yeah.
so that they're viewable for the normal person now. It just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's like, oh crud, I'm old. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I do know Mike Marvin, who wrote the movie. You know, he was a skiing, expert. He actually choreographed the ski sequences in Better Off Dead the next year, and he was originally going to direct the movie before Peter Markle, but he ironically,
I knew that.
Yeah, he ironically directed Hamburger the motion picture 2 years later.
I was supposed to do that. Ed wanted me to do that, and I just couldn't bear the thought of hot dog and then hamburger. And I said, what am I going to do next? Chicken?
Yeah, chicken. Oh, yeah, well, there was a joke at the end about them selling chicken sandwiches, but... Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I knew that Mike had, he was going to do that. And I felt really bad, and retrospect is great. I probably should have done anything I could have,
Yeah.
But I didn't. I made different choices. So.
Well.
What you were saying about Mike.
Well, yeah. So he ended up directing Hamburger the motion picture 2 years later, which the plot of that movie fits the title. I know that legend has it David Naughton came up with the title for this movie.
Uh-huh.
Did you hear that?
No. I did not know that.
Did it have a different title when you got the script?
I don't remember.
Huh.
To be honest, I was looking at a couple of scripts. I don't remember. During when I was filming, I was also supposed to go back. I had a callback for a film with Val Kilmer, because I would have had a French accent, and Ed Feldman, the producer, wouldn't let me leave, so I couldn't do that. So I had a couple other scripts and stuff. I just was in that mode of work and trying to focus on stuff. I don't remember another name. What do you know what that would have been?
I have no idea, and I can't even think of a name that could have been other than maybe Ski Lodge the movie or something.
Yeah, they usually say working title, and then they say something. So I don't know.
I have
maybe
no...
they just. You'd have to. I don't know. I'd ask everybody if you get a chance. I'm curious.
Well, I did reach out to Mike Marvin, and I never heard back from him. But maybe I'll try again at some point.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Mike in years. I've spoken to Frank Coppola, and he's doing well. And I haven't spoken to John either, and but I will. Like, what?
How was working with David Naughton?
The few scenes that I had with him was great. He's very funny. He's a very funny man. And when I was shooting the film, also I got really, really sick, so I couldn't join in quite a few of the things that they were doing to have fun because they didn't want Patrick or I to go out and do crazy stuff and get hurt, and B, they I got really sick, so I was not able to do a lot of stuff for for quite a few days, like a week or so. But the times that we did spend together, he was really he's very funny. What can I say?
Yeah, I met him at a horror convention 4 years ago. It was my first one I ever went to, and there's a guy that was in front of us. He was like saying, "Oh, please sign this," and then after he's done signing it, he was whipping out other things, and then David just looked at me like, he's rolling his eyes, like, "Get me out of here." And so then it was my turn with me and my friend, and I brought up a movie he did in the early 90s called Wild Cactus, which is a late-night erotica thriller, and he told me that literally no one has ever talked to him about that movie, ever, because...
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it was late-night erotica thriller on Cinemax back in the early 90s. And he told me the woman who played his wife, oh, God, I forget her name. She was in Playboy for years. They had a really steamy sex scene on camera that involved maple syrup. And he told me that she actually slept with every guy on that movie except him. And he saw her years later, and he asked her why, and she said, "You were like a big brother to me. Like you were very protective of me."
Aw, see?
Yeah.
So when women say that, they really do mean it,
Yes, but I can't believe he was so candid with me, telling me that.
Well, that's nice. At least
Yeah.
she was an adult. That probably confused him. So that was good that he asked.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a logical reason not to go to bed with someone. That would feel very odd, unless they were into something bizarre like that. So
Yeah.
at least she had her own moral compass that she didn't feel comfortable crossing.
Yeah. How was working
So
with?
you went to horror films, you said? A good friend of mine
Yeah.
from New York days was Jason Warrington Gillette.
Oh yeah.
You know Warrington?
No, I've been trying to get him on the show. I just found out he was on Instagram, and I started following him. So maybe I'll be able to reach him through there for this Halloween season.
No, I can get a hold of him and ask him if he'll do the show.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Yeah, I would love to get the second Jason, but without the mask.
Yeah, I swear, he's like Dorian Gray. He never frickin' ages.
No.
I've known him since I was 21 years old, and he never ages. That guy has like a killer body, and his face frickin' never ages. I'm like, what the heck? Get the picture out of the closet and get some wrinkles on that face. No?
Yeah,
Great.
he hasn't aged. I've seen pictures. Yeah. How about working with Patrick Hauser?
Patrick's a sweetie. I have not spoken to him. I have no idea where he is since after we did the film. I know for a short time he went back home at something. I think he got married. I'm not real positive.
Well,
you tell me.
Yes, I'm actually good friends with his ex-wife. She doesn't want me saying her name or saying that they were married because it wasn't a good relationship. The only good thing that came out of it was their daughter.
Well, that's okay. That's good.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I said, those are choices and decisions, and that fate that child was meant to be born, and they got a beautiful daughter out of it. So,
yeah.
We all have our issues in our past, right?
Right. I do have a good story, though. After this movie, he did a movie called Weekend Pass.
I did. Is that the sailor one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked to two of the sailors, Peter Ellenstein and Chip McAllister, who did Hamburger the Motion Picture later.
Oh, my God. How funny.
And they told me Patrick was the only one of the four who didn't want to hang out with the guys and be all buddy-buddy and stuff. He was very standoffish, and he did brag that he's like, I just did this movie, Hot Dog the Movie. It's going to be a huge hit, and I'm going to be a star within a year. Yeah.
How nice for him.
Yeah. I heard a similar story about Tom Cruise. Catherine Mary Stewart told me she was auditioning for The Outsiders, and she met him, right? And at first, she thought he was cute, and she wanted him to ask her out, right? And he was like saying, I'm going to be a star, someday. And then he did ask her out, and she was like, no thanks.
Yeah, I know Tom. I knew Tom. Yeah, because Tom and Mimi was friends, and Natalie Zimmerman.
Yeah.
All world stuff, type of a thing. Yeah, it's funny, it depends on I guess, speaking of Tom, and I guess you could say getting involved with Scientology took a curve, and like they were after me, like major big time. Mm-hmm. And I would have been anybody, I think, who they decided that they wanted to push would become a star. Kirstie Alley, John Travolta, Kelly Preston, Tom Cruise, all these people that they, that got involved with them, that was their purpose. That's how they generated their income and their word. So if Tom hadn't have been involved with Mimi, he wouldn't have gotten involved, and that probably would not have been as successful as he is. Yeah,
it's a weird thing. Yeah.
Yeah, choices. Different choices that you make that go that way. But everything has its story. It definitely makes them interesting.
Was Shannon Tweed with Gene Simmons when she did this movie?
No, Shannon. Well, yes, I take that back. Yeah, yeah, she was. But she was also with Bob Evans, was kind of after her as well. And
Robert Evans.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. Bob just, oh my gosh, he had the hot and heavy for her. Just kept trying to, get to her, get after her, and everything else. But she had her sights on Jane the entire, She was madly in love from the get-go with Jane. And, Tracy, her sister, we had such a great time. I love those girls. And all of our kids, it's too bad none of our kids have met, because I swear they're so similar. I have a boy and a girl, and Shannon has a boy and a girl, and I don't remember what Tracy ended up at, but I just love them. They were so much fun. They were so sweet, so down to earth. I don't care what anybody says about them. They're just great.
I can imagine. Back in the late 90s, there was a movie called Detroit Rock City about these guys, these boys in high school trying to go to a Kiss concert in the 70s, right? And Shannon plays this older woman who ends up going to her car with one of the boys, and they end up like drinking and stuff, right? She puts her foot on top of the guy's erection, and he has a premature ejaculation, and Shannon says, I see you've met premature Peter.
Premature Peter, that's cute.
And then she laughs. Yeah, then she laughs, and it sounds so genuine. And then for the rest of the scene, she looks like she's trying so hard not to laugh, and then she ends up kissing him.
Well, you got to admit, I mean, even like with Patrick and having to do a love scene, anybody that does a love scene with Shannon, it's got to be pretty intimidating. I mean, she's really hot, so I mean, it's very she's got that sensual ooze, you can't help it. I feel bad for the guys who had to, behave themselves, so to speak.
Yeah. Sandy Hackett played the MC of the T-shirt contest.
I remember Sandy.
Yes.
Yep.
I reached out to him a couple of years ago, right? He sent me a long email telling me how bad my podcast was and how I can improve it.
Yeah. Did you take some notes?
Well,
so that they were genuine as far as genuine suggestions?
Well, I kind of, let him know, where I was at that point in time and stuff, but he still didn't want to do it because I didn't have enough followers. And then he ended up doing Mark Maron's podcast a few months later, which I thought was good for him because I listen to Mark Maron every week. So,
well, maybe things will change, and maybe there are certain suggestions. We all have room for improvement. I know that for a fact. That I know that when my daughter or my son or my boyfriend or, friends say something to me, it comes from their loving heart, and that I think, okay, maybe I do need to work on this.
Yeah.
So don't take it in a negative sort. Just take what bit of information that you feel may be helpful, and who knows?
Yeah. Oh, no, I wasn't offended at all. I was actually laughing. I thought it was pretty funny, But he did say, if you're ever in Los Angeles, hit me up and we'll do one in person,
Well,
so.
there you go. You've got a commitment from him now.
Maybe, after this pandemic and stuff. But, wow. I mean, that was just a magical time for movies, And I love? I love how Sonny doesn't like country music.
Yeah, that's funny. I love John Denver, and I love playing the guitar. I actually taught Patrick how to play the chords on the guitar because he didn't even know how to hold a guitar, and so I taught him how to hold it so he didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing. And I like country. I like all aspects of music. I love classical. I love jazz, blues, hip-hop. The only thing I don't care for is headbanging. For some reason, I love some operas. So I like a total mixture of all genres of music, except for maybe headbanging, not partial.
Yeah, I love it. I love hard rock and heavy metal, and this has been a good year for me. At the end of last year, I started getting some musicians on the show, and musicians are very difficult to book because they have more boundaries than actors do. They're seen a lot more, But oh my God, I've gotten so many this year. I got Dean from Jen and Dean a couple of months ago.
Yeah, what about songwriters? Maybe I can ask a songwriter friend of mine.
Oh, who do you know?
Well, he's written like 9 #1 hits, so he's got stories out the wazoo. He's been quite successful.
I could think of either Jerry Goffin or Bernie Taupin.
Well, he's actually written with Tim McBride, his name is Stuart Harris.
Stuart Harris. I'll look him up later.
Google him up. He wrote No One Else on Earth, and he wrote. Speaking of country, he's written for, country Travis Tritt, and he's written, he wrote America's Funniest Videos, what do you call that thing? Jingle or whatever their song was. He's an award-winning writer, and he's written 9 #1 hits. I don't know many songwriters who can say that, actually.
Yeah. I'll definitely look him up and I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Did you have any?
Never know.
Yeah. Did you have any stipulations about being naked in the movie?
Yes, and that was my downfall because I said I didn't want my breasts showing because I said you already have Shannon who feels very comfortable doing that. She's a playmate, and you also have the other girl, another girl that would show their breasts and the. So I had no frontal nudity. They got my butt, I guess, as far as that. But they actually got me on camera. And it was very uncomfortable. The producer and that is supposed to be a closed set for the love scene.
Yeah.
And they actually sat on the corner of the tub and watched the scene. It was very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And they filmed it and they got my breasts on screen, and then they did a private screening training with my agent and I back in LA. And I just started crying involuntarily because I felt like I had been sideswiped, you know?
Yeah.
I said to my agent, I thought that they weren't supposed to be doing this. And he's like, they're not. He says, but it's, and, you know, every major actress has done it. You know, the producer, Ed Feldman, was saying, you know, everyone does it. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't want to do it. And he's like, big mistake, big mistake. And I guess it was, because after that, because they had to remove it, and then after that, he blacklisted me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tracy.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
I mean, luckily I'd already booked Bachelor Party. You know, I booked that after when I got back 2 weeks later from filming, but he blacklisted me pretty much. And it was, that made my career and my life very, very interesting and not so happy because I made the choice to have a moral choice for myself. That was my decision. And once again, my choice, you know, turned me in a different direction.
I support women who want to make a living taking their clothes off, but when they're forced against their will to do it, I just think that's not right, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and then now it's like no one would care to see it anyway. But you know what I'm saying? It's like you make decisions, and I think if it had been a different kind of film, I might have made that decision to do so. But I just didn't feel it moved the story along, and it didn't add anything to it. You know, like I said, there had already been enough nudity in it that I thought it would satiate the, you know, salivary glands of the young and adventurous.
Yeah.
I guess I was wrong.
No, you got no complaints from me. You know, I love that scene, but I just don't
Thank you.
I don't like the ramifications of what happened, you know, behind it.
Yeah, that was tough. I have to say that wasn't right. And also on top of that, which was interesting, I not only got blacklisted by him, but I also had difficulties with my ex-fiance too, who had also, because of his hurts and frustration, you know, of having broken up, he also blacklisted me on a different level for writing and stuff. So it was like a double whammy. I kind of got it. I got my candle burnt on both ends, and it didn't work out so well.
I interviewed Cindy Morgan, who was in Caddyshack, and she had an experience like that too. When she was making the movie, the producer John Peters wanted her to pose for Playboy, and he called her up at the hotel and said a photographer from Playboy is going to come on the set tomorrow, and you're going to pose for Playboy. And she's like, no, I'm not. And they went back and forth. She called her agent, and her agent said, just do what he says, you know. And she said, no, I'm not going to do it. You know, I'm going to finish this movie. She only had like maybe 2 days left on the movie. She said, I'm going to finish this movie. I'm going to go back to LA, and I'm going to fire you. And that's what she did. And she told me, she said, I would have loved to have been in Playboy, but I would have loved to have been asked, not being bullied to doing that.
Yeah.
And she had trouble getting work after that. You know, she did Tron, which is another cult classic, and a couple of really obscure stuff. But yeah, she had a situation quite like that.
Well, you know, that kind of happened with Bachelor Party, too. I mean, I lost a lot of scenes because I wasn't willing to cozy up as much as Tawny was.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was definitely a sign of the times of when we were all doing our films. Mm-hmm. And I have to hand it to the Me Too movement, which happened, obvious, you know, to the detriment of so many women and men. You know, it's not just women who have a Me Too story, but to people who have been abused and used and taken for granted. It's hopefully something has shifted because of that movement, and things won't be as bad as they were. And I don't know because I'm not there anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But was there any good stuff on Bachelor Party?
Bachelor Party, yeah. I mean, Tawny and I had actually Kelly McGillis and I. I don't know if you know that.
I know the story.
Yeah, she was originally cast as the lead with
Paul Reiser.
Well, yeah, and then Kelly got fired, and they wanted me to be the lead with Paul. Paul was my neighbor; he lived across the street from me.
Yeah.
In LA, but so they wanted me to be the lead. But then the director said, "No, I want her to be the best friend." And then Joe Ross at 20th Century, who I loved, he kept fighting for me, saying, "No, I'd like her to be the lead." Blah blah blah. It never happened. Anyway, they ended up with Tawny. But Kelly and I went out, tried to get close. She was great. We had a nice time, and that was we enjoyed each other. And then Tawny and I tried to do the same. We went out, and we went to we went to that Whiskey a Go Go on Sunset.
Yeah.
And her newly hot to trot guy that she was after, Whitesnake.
Oh yeah, David Coverdale.
Yeah, whatever his name is. Anyway, so we went to go watch him, and she was all hot and heavy and all that. And then it was a bit uncomfortable because Michael Dudikoff was in there at the same time, and they had been having something going on between them, so they kind of got in a tip, and I left, I think, went home. And as far as I enjoyed so many other, like Barbara Stewart, who played the mom, and so many other people. Like when we went to the Chippendales place, and then Mary Goes Berber. She was so funny when we were being chased around with the Chinese guys or the Eurasian, in the hotel. The Ken, who was the manager of the hotel, such nice people. I mean, that really makes filmmaking fun when people are there's just some really great people out there.
Yeah. Oh my God. I have a Tawny Katane story. I met her at my second horror convention 4 years ago, and I went over there. I told her, I remember seeing her in the Whitesnake video when I was like 4 years old. She was my first hard-on, etc. And she was like, "Oh, that's so sweet," And then we started talking about, she was with Robin Crosby from Rat.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
He was the guitarist in Rat, and she was telling me, he was her first love, and she said Rat was a lot more fun to hang out with than Whitesnake, because Rat, they were just always joking around, always having a good time, but Whitesnake was a little bit more serious because they're English, And then she signed my autograph. We took a picture, and then afterwards, I gave her my business card, and then that was that. But we talk all the time on Twitter, and we follow each other and stuff. She was really sweet.
Good, yeah. And she's doing well. You've spoken to she's good.
She's good. Yeah, she's posting stuff all the time, and yeah, she's doing pretty good. I just talked to Barry Diamond last month.
Barry, how's Barry doing?
Oh God,
another funny man.
I've talked to a lot of comedians since the pandemic started, and as we know, they're very serious off stage, and very morose. Well, Barry was very morose during this interview, but he actually gave me a very good one, and he was very funny during it, but he was just low energy the entire time, like he wanted to cry. But he was great.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's like David Spade. He is incredibly. He's also from Arizona, and he was actually supposed to be my roommate, and I ended up giving him to my girlfriend to be her roommate for 9 years or whatever it was. And the comedians, yes, you're absolutely accurate on that. Most comedians can't speak for all of them.
Yeah.
But they seem to have that downside, which you have to admit probably is a good quality to have to help balance them out. It'd be kind of hard to live with if they were funny all the time.
I did stand up for 10 years in the Bay Area. They're a very interesting breed of people, Yeah. They're all bipolar pretty much. Nice 1 minute, really edgy the next, kind of morose the next. They're a whirlwind of emotions, those people.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess.
How was working with Tom Hanks?
Tom was very professional. I didn't spend a lot of time with him. I remember when Rita came on set at one time, but we didn't have a lot of scenes together, so I didn't really work all that much. He was very professional, though.
I've heard that about him. He can be very professional, and he can just be a goofy guy on set. I love. Oh my God, so many great scenes. Nick the Dick scene.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy.
And of course, the donkey scene.
Yeah, I wasn't in that one either, but I do remember in the elevator and stuff, like Ken and all that. Yeah, there were some very funny scenes. The movie was very well done. That is one thing that I've noticed is that movies after that they tried to copy Hot Dog.
Oh yeah.
Called Ski Lodge, like you said, Ski Lodge or something like that. I'll try it. There and even Bachelor Party. They have like The Hangover, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But any of the other movies that try and do that sort of thing, they fall on a very fine line, a tight wire. They had all the right elements for Hot Dog and Bachelor Party. I was really fortunate to be a part of both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just all came together the right way.
Back to back. Yeah.
yeah, back to back. Yeah. It'd be really fun to do Hot Dog Part 2. I had to come up, for a sequel or something, and actually put Gene Simmons in it. I think as a bad guy.
Yeah, that would be funny. That would be funny.
And then I think, gosh, at this point, I guess Shannon and I will have to be grandmothers.
Yeah.
Early pregnancy happening.
Do you remember
It must be Harkins and Sonny Loveschild's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So many interesting moments so many years later.
Do you remember your classic line in Bachelor Party?
My classic line? No, what was my classic line?
At the beginning of the movie, you, Tani, and the other girl are in the, I think it was a clothing store or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Shop, yeah.
Yeah. And you say, I can't believe you're getting married. It seems like yesterday I was teaching you how to give a blowjob.
Oh. That would be something I would probably say, too, strangely enough.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I kind of laugh because I've taught more people how to drive stick shift, and I always try and compare it to holding the male appendage.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And then they get it. And it's the perfect way to teach somebody how to drive stick shift. Just think of it as the male appendage.
Yeah.
And just balance it with a little bit of gas.
Yeah, when my nephew was 20, he asked me how to finger a girl, and I showed him. Not literally showed him, but just, basically, drew him a sketch, basically.
A diagram. Well, that's nice for an uncle to do. There you go.
Yeah.
You've got skills.
Yep.
You're an artist to boot.
I got skills.
Yeah, there you go. Well, if you also, hopefully you'll be able to, you have anyone else that you were, who's next on your interviewing schedule?
Oh my God. I cried. I could not believe I booked this man. For the last year, I was doubting myself, but I got the boy wonder, Robin himself, Burt Ward, coming on tomorrow.
Are you kidding? You have Burt Ward coming on?
Mm-hmm.
That is so funny. I literally was talking about him last night. That is so strange.
Really?
Really, yes. That's very interesting.
I am.
So that will be a fun interview. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I am just, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's going to be, I thought, I interviewed Marion Ross from Happy Days back in January, and I thought that was the biggest one I was ever going to get, but I was wrong. This guy is just, it's huge. Batman is so iconic.
It is. Oh my gosh. That's so great.
I can't wait. Yes. Oh my God,
So
go ahead.
What's your key question you're going to ask him?
I'm going to be doing research after we talk. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff, a colleague of mine who's a horror podcaster primarily, but only occasionally interviews people outside of the regime. He interviewed him a few months ago, and I could not believe he didn't ask him what it was like working with Sid Haig when he was a guest star on the show, or working with Linnea Quigley in the exploitation movies they did in the late 80s, early 90s. Those were like my key questions, probably.
Well, I'm also curious as how he felt about the sexuality and how he handled his own personal life and the portrayal of such a iconic character, and how he felt about years later. How has he coped with how the world has changed and the outlook, and how is he feeling as in his own personal life? How is he in his own relationship?
Yeah, I do know in the 90s he wrote a book in which he revealed a lot of sexual encounters he had with female fans. I do know that.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to hear his take on it. So I'll definitely put that on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Since you will be asking him questions, it'd be nice. Yeah. So is there anything else that you're curious about, or?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I saw you did a bunch of the 2-hour Perry Mason movies in the 90s. Do you have any good stories about Raymond Burr?
I actually did not do those.
Okay, so it's a different Tracy Smith.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a Tracy Smith who's a commentator, but I don't think she did those either.
Okay, so in my intro, that will be stricken from the record, so I apologize in advance.
That's okay. I also was in another film, and oh my gosh, and that's the grandson of Dick Van Dyke, Jerry Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke's grandson, and Joey Travolta directed it. Arizona Summer. And Lee Majors was also in that. And that was kind of funny because they hired me. I was camp counselor, and they actually hired me because I reminded them of Farrah Fawcett. And so they thought they would do that to bother Lee Majors. I found out while I was on the set. Which I guess I bothered him.
So what year? So what year did you walk away from everything and get out of LA?
I'm so bad with years. I got married and I had my children and I left because we had to leave. My spouse had to leave as well. So I was probably 33, 32, something like that. But I had done, we had moved to Arizona, and that's when I did Arizona Summer, and I did some commercial work and print work there. I didn't really, it was hard, it was kind of hard in a way for me to leave LA and yet not. I mean, it is what it is, but as far as leaving everything, I think once you've had LA in your heart, there's a place there for it, as you will find out once you live there.
Oh, I cry every time I leave.
Yeah, it just kind of gets to you in a sense. And then the other half of you, when you're away from that, you kind of breathe and you go, no, that's great, that's fine, it's all good.
Yeah.
I don't have the traffic, I don't have, the things, the things that you have to go through industry, and there's good and bad with everything. Good, bad, and weird.
Yeah. Did you ever audition for anything, though, that became super iconic?
Oh, my God. Well, like I said, like Blame It on Rio, I turned down.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle Williams ended up doing that. She was also from Arizona, but I didn't want to show my boobs again. And and I met with the director, so Blame It on Rio, I turned down, and then there were so many films, like I said, that I had so many callbacks for that I ended up not getting. Like Sharon Stone ended up getting a couple films. Fame, I had quite a few things for Fame, for the chorus line, just all the major film. A lot of the major films that are still shown today. Yes, I either had the opportunity to audition for them quite a few times, so that meant I guess I was doing something right. And then, or else I said no. Because I have a different choice.
Yeah, Blame It on Rio, yeah. That was Stanley Donen. I actually talked about him the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you do when quarantine isn't going on?
Well, I was working in a farmer's market. My boyfriend had a farmer's market that he had owned for 37 years, and the last 8 years I've been helping him run that. And he just recently sold it in February to a nice family that they're running it. And so I'm no longer cashiering and managing the store. So I basically am trying to fix up, clean, fix up places. I'm not really doing a lot right now because we just literally have been trying to move on from having sold his business.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
Yeah, my daughter is staying with us right now, but she also is out. She's having a difficult time, and my son, who's in Texas, and he's in med school, and his wife's in the medical industry, and 2 young boys, and that's like the hot spot now. And they've all been tested. Luckily, they're negative, but they had associates in her that had been tested positive. And actually, we had quite a few people down in Florida near us that had been tested positive, and some friends of ours in many different states that have tested positive. And they were quite worried because they had a really, really tough time. And it's not to be taken lightly. And as far as trying to do the right thing by wearing the mask, all the time, and distance from being in closed surroundings or being around too many people, even though you know them in the closed surroundings, like having a dinner party or something. We don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got tested for COVID last month. I had a really bad cold for like 72 hours. That I was for damn sure I had it, but thank God I didn't.
Yeah. Luckily, I know a lot of people that the cashier and her boyfriend and some other people that had it. A friend of ours had it. He lost 22 pounds, and he was out of work for over a month. He was so weak. It took him a month just to be able. It took him even another week after that just to be able to pick up things. That's how weak he became. And then another friend, young, she was 30s, and her and her boyfriend both got it, and they lost their sense of smell and their taste, which is a sign for the lighter version of it, from what I understand. That and they were achy, and had a slight fever, and they were also quarantined for a month. She was out of work for a month.
Wow.
So, I mean, this is nothing, it doesn't mind the age range, or it crosses every border possible. There are no walls, no borders, nothing that can protect you from this if you're meant to get it.
Yeah,
So,
it's...
and I, going to go get gas, I'll take a I'll take a paper towel and I'll hold the tank pumper or whatever to not touch it and just hand sanitize. And other than that, we just try and enjoy the outdoors, get out as much as possible to be positive and take a breath of fresh air and realize how fortunate we are to be in this beautiful world with green trees and grass and being able to bake if you can bake, or cook something new. And I think just be able to catch up on things that you and people that you haven't spoken to in a while. Call the person that you haven't spoken to so you don't get depressed. I have another friend who was so depressed they literally were suicidal. And I get it. But you have to remember you don't need to give in to your depression. You just need to get past it moment by moment, hour by hour, and to realize that there is a tomorrow and that there are people out there that really do care about you and that love you and that people are really good in their hearts and they will be there just to say, hey, how are you? I care about you. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. What are you doing?
I am constantly podcasting, and God, I need to figure out a way to get exercise during this because I was on a diet for 3 months until the pandemic started. I lost 25 pounds, and I got another 100 to go. I need to figure out a way to do it because I'm just afraid of catching it outside, and I'm afraid of just I don't know what I'm afraid of, really.
Well, you can go walking. I mean, when we were in Florida, we go walking and we wear our mask. And that if someone walks towards us, we make sure that we walk to the other side or on a bicycle or whatever. If there's wind, and you don't see someone wearing a mask, I would go to the other side so that the wind doesn't take anything. But it's easy to get exercise. You can actually clean your own house and consider that exercise. Seriously, if you vacuum, you put on some fun music, you put your rock and roll, you got your own risky business happening.
Yeah.
And you get the broom out or the vacuum, and then you take the wax on, wax off, and clean and dust. Or you take the Ajax and you go in the tub or the shower and you lean over and you're up and you're down and you're sideways. And that's exercise.
You sound like you're hosting a workout video.
Well, it actually is. It's something that people don't take. They take for granted. They don't realize that is a form of exercise. It's moving, and it's easy. So why not do it? Keep your space clean. Keep your head clean.
Yeah, I would do the housework thing, but I don't want to give my mom the satisfaction.
Then maybe just go for a walk. Walking is amazing. My brother-in-law told me that he lost 22 pounds because he quit drinking, which obviously isn't an issue for you since you no longer do that. And he quit drinking casually, and he also quit eating a bunch of junk. I don't know. He was just snacking all the time.
Yeah.
And he walks. He gets up first thing in the morning, and he walks like 15,000 steps. Evidently has one of those goofy watches or whatever. Yeah. I think you could just put on some music and listen to some old rock and roll and just go walking.
Yeah, I got fat because of depression from the trauma that the doctor told me was going to happen. I'm an emotional eater. We all are in my family. And that's how mine came about. And I need to lose it because I have a stent in my heart,
Well, it's a real good healthy snack are walnuts and cran raisins.
I love walnuts. Cranberries, okay.
Cran raisins, not cranberries, cran raisins.
Cran raisins, yeah.
Cran raisins, the cranberry raisins. They're really good and antioxidants, and they've got that sweetness that helps with the omega-3s from the walnuts.
It's like a trail mix.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, very simple. And then that way, when you feel like you're snacking, you can just snack on that. And also another really good one is cucumbers. People don't realize that cucumbers have a lot of B vitamins in them, and they're very good for depression.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I never thought of that.
You can tell I've gained some information while running this farmer's market.
You sure have.
I've had customers come in and they start educating me. I go, sure, educate me. Tell me, what do you want me to carry? And then they'll tell me about, well, do you know that this helps this? Did you know that radishes help, your blood cells, and that you can eat your radish tops and they help your blood? And I'm like, no, but I do now.
Well, I'll definitely try it. And before you go, let's play my secret silly game. So this is a series of slumber party questions, and there's no right or wrong answer, no win or lose. And how this game works is, I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me the exact same question, and I answer it.
Okay.
Okay, Tracy, are you ticklish?
Yes. Are you ticklish, Tommy?
I am baby ticklish, yes. I get a knee-jerk reaction when someone tickles me. You better watch your groin. What's your favorite part of the body?
Eyes. What is your favorite part of the body?
That's a popular one. My favorite part is the belly button.
Huh. Why?
I love how, it's middle ground between being a private part and a non-private part. And I actually just found out recently the reason why Barbara Eden wasn't allowed to show hers on I Dream of Jeannie was because NBC thought that it was too much of an enticement for what was above and below.
Yeah, I actually remember reading something about that.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's very interesting. What color are your toenails painted?
Clear.
Nice.
And yours?
They are not painted right now, but last time they were purple with sparkles.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah, I like to do the
my
elaborate.
daughter was going to paint them red, white, and blue, but I said, I'm wearing tennis shoes most of the time because I'm working out in the yard, and I don't want to mess them up. So she just put clear on.
Yeah, I like to go decorative.
I would. That's a good one. I like that. That sounds cute. Okay.
What's your best personality trait?
Is empathy a personality trait?
Yeah, because that's mine.
Oh, there you go. We're empathizing with each other.
For me, it's my sense of empathy and the fact that I have no filter.
Ah, there you go. That's good.
And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Oh, man. I'm sure there is. It's probably an ammonia sulfur, like an egg ammonia, almost like mold.
Mm-hmm.
Like that stuffiness, but then you smell like it curves to ammonia, which like it smells. That's what fish smells like when it goes bad.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes an ammonia smell.
Yeah.
But there's a sulfur, that sulfur too. It's actually a mold smell. I can tell if something smells moldy. What is yours?
I tell people with kids, and this does not affect them, it's either farts or feet.
Oh, really? That makes you gag?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Always.
Because those are two different scents.
Yes. I know. I just think they're disgusting.
Yeah, probably because I was so used to babysitting and changing diapers. And I've cleaned so many toilets. It just doesn't even affect me. That's interesting, though. I could see that would be a gag reflex, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you have to do it all the time, it's just like, either you're a mom or you clean toilets, because you like clean toilets. You just get used to it, I guess.
Yeah.
But now we have automatic masks that we have to wear, so that makes things a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a positive.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the few positives of this. Absolutely. Tracy, I thank you so much for coming on today.
and I wish you the best.
Oh, you as well. I hope this was all comfortable for you.
Very comfortable. I thought you did a great job, and I probably talked too much, so.
Oh, they want to hear you, not me.
I don't know. You're enjoyable to hear too. You're a fascinating man, and you have a lot to offer. And I know that things will just be going your way. So hang in there and keep doing what you're doing.
That touches my heart, Tracy. Thank you so much. Yes, and also I'll let you know about if I'm interested in Stuart Harris to interview.
That's fine. No worries. And give your mom a hug and your brother and his children, and just realize how fortunate you all are to have each other.
I am so blessed. I'm beyond blessed. Thank you, Tracy.
Right.
Have a great day over there, and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Tracy Smith. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, what a great lady of integrity. I just am in awe of her. I interviewed the best ladies, don't I? If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.